on the Cambridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State Athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletics teams and administration each week. Presented by Cambridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Hey, Ball State fans. Welcome to the first vodcast edition of This Week in Ball State Sports with our partners, Ball State Sports Link. Super grateful for the partnership between Ball State Athletics and Sports Link. An awesome setup with the new studio here at the Betsy Ross studio in Sports Link in the Letterman building across campus. Jeff Mitchell, our first guest here on This Week in Ball State Sports. We'll also chat with head coach Mike New of Ball State football. And Delaney Caldwell joins us from the Ball State soccer team. So, Jeff, there's a lot to talk about. And first and foremost, thanks for joining us on the nice new set.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm so excited about what we're doing with this vodcast in addition to the podcast, and we're excited to be here in a beautiful studio.
Yeah, thank you to Alex Cartman and the entire Ball State Sports Link staff for helping us get this thing rolling and starting off this partnership. Jeff, Ball State football 100 season underway officially after Saturday's game, 42-34 victory. I saw that you were in the student section for a little while, and you had a chance to experience the fun there. That energy seemed like it was great.
Well, I was so encouraged and so excited by the student turnout, and I give all the credit in the world to Cardinal Chaos and the student leadership that is being provided to really ramp up the efforts of our student crowd, and they were having a great time, and so I wanted to join in on the fun. And, and you know, as we started to play better on the football field, I think we're going to score some touchdowns. So I want to go and get involved with that touchdown shower celebration, and I timed it great, and they welcomed me very enthusiastically. And so I got in and got to soak those first 5 rows or so that all had their ponchos on to protect them from the showers.
A little chilly out there to get water on you.
The weather was perfect. And so I stuck around and got in the middle of the student section. We were cheering, and there was a couple of penalties that didn't go for the Cardinals, and so we let the officials hear it. You know,
I like how you said we.
Yeah,
we let the officials hear like you were a part of the.
I was involved.
And glad the first touchdown wasn't called back, so that the celebration didn't have to be inhibited there.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
So the atmosphere was awesome. Jeff, we talked about on last week's podcast and on pregame radio as well, just the enhancements of the game day experience. How do you think that situation went with food trucks, different vendors being there for the football game?
I thought it was great. The only disappointing thing, Mick, was we didn't get to sample all of the food trucks.
Yeah.
We're going to work on that. It was a problem.
That was a problem.
We're going to work on that. But everything about the day was really exciting, and I was really pleased with the level of detail that we had planned for months, but to see it executed was really special. I loved everything from the student tailgate to the tailgating outside of the stadium. We introduced the new Charlietown Live with our partnership with WMUN. That was great. Charlietown, of course, was phenomenal, and going around all the various tailgates to see our fans and to hear from them, see them was really exciting. And then we had a fan that has been coming to games for 250 consecutive home games at Schumann Stadium. Remarkable, and got to celebrate him before the game as well. So just a remarkable day all the way around, and then certainly the atmosphere inside the stadium was electric. We had a great turnout. Certainly the students were chief among those that were enthusiastic, and our team fed off that energy. And we played a very good Missouri State team. They were a tough out, and our defense I thought played really well. Offensively, we started to click in the second half, and really pleased by the effort. And it's always good to win the first one and to be 1-0.
There's a lot of talk about the jump that Missouri State's going to make to FBS, and how Coach New even said it leading up to the game that this feels like another MAC team. That's a really good test for week 1 for a team that's about to make the jump.
Well, it really is. And for us, knowing what we have to accomplish in the next few weeks in terms of the competition that we're playing and getting prepared for Mid-American Conference play. Of course, we've got an early conference game in week 3 for us as we go to Central Michigan to play. These first are week 4, pardon me. No, week 3. Mick, I don't know.
Week 3 of our schedule. Week 4 of college football.
I'm so I'm still trying to catch up.
That's okay. Me too. But, that's not playing week 1 really threw things for a loop.
It did. So yes, we're at Miami this weekend, and then we travel to Central for our opener in Mid-American Conference play, and then travel to James Madison. But so those games are really critical for us as we continue to get warmed up as the season begins. But that test against Missouri State, I think, put us in a position to see where we are early, and that'll help us as we make some adjustments going into a tough opponent on the road at Miami this week.
One thing I loved is you could tell the energy from the 100th year celebration and the start of that. Everybody knew about it, for one, and two, you could tell that people were excited to celebrate the 100 years.
Yeah, and it's only going to continue as the season progresses and as we roll out more content, as we begin to celebrate that all-century team voting as well.
That's right.
So I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's starting to gain some traction. We introduced that really for the first time on Friday before kickoff on Saturday. So the celebration will last all season long.
If you haven't done it yet, check out ballstatesports.com and go to where Jeff was just talking about, the All-Century team. It's an awesome platform to vote on Cardinals to make the All-Century team. And there's been some fans that have said it's a little stressful because there are too many good options, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That was the feedback. So I guess that the comms department did a really good job of putting this together to make sure that there were really good choices.
Well, they did. And it's a good problem to have.
It is.
We've have 100 years of really tremendous history of Ball State football, and there have been a lot of talented student athletes that have come through over those 100 years. So if it's not challenging, then that would be a problem. And so I'm really pleased that it's a stressful experience for our fans.
Are you and I allowed to vote?
I already have.
Okay. So I guess I should probably do that too.
That's right.
Jeff, Ball State football on the road against Miami, Florida. Before we move on from football and talk about some soccer after a big win for them, these games against opponents like Miami in the ACC, we had 2 last year against SEC opponents, Kentucky and Georgia to start off the year. How vital are these matchups for Ball State football?
Well, they're essential, I think, into the development of a team year over year. And so for our guys to have the opportunity to go play in that type of environment against a top 10 opponent is really special. And, we can win the ball game. And that's the great thing about intercollegiate athletics is that you can either go on the road or be at your own place and play a top-tier opponent and win, because the field's 100 yards for both teams. The weather's the same for both teams, and you go out and you compete. And we saw it earlier in the weekend with a fellow MAC opponent, NIU, knocking off Notre Dame. Our guys, our student athletes across our 19 sports put in the time and effort to go and compete, and they expect to win every time they touch the field, on the court, in the pool, whatever the case may be. And so we have the responsibility to provide these opportunities for our student athletes to go and compete and enjoy playing their respective sport. So I can't wait for this weekend. I can't wait for our guys to take that field down at Hard Rock Stadium and have a chance to compete and win that ball game.
You ever been to Miami?
I have.
Okay, I assume so, being in Mississippi for a long time, but I had to ask because I haven't been to Miami yet.
I have. It's a beautiful stadium and a neat atmosphere, and really looking forward to it for our guys to experience it.
You talk about the student athletes having that ultimate experience. Ball State soccer goes on the road, defeats Michigan, and then yesterday, Sunday, a big win against Queens, 7-1. That team, had the 3-0 loss against Butler, but since that point, they are rolling.
Well, it takes one game to get hot, and we went on the road to beat Michigan, and that really sparked things for us. And now we've won several in a row, and we had a big one yesterday against Queens, and that program is developing. And ours, we had an opportunity to work some kinks out offensively, I think, and see what we're capable of, and going back and forth via text with Coach Josh Reif, he said it was a good day. And what that translates is that we found the back of the net a lot. And he's encouraged by that, and I am too.
That is a good sign. They take on IU Indy Thursday, 4 o'clock at Briner Sports Complex. Ball State soccer back in there. There are a couple more matchups before they get to the conference portion of their schedule. But, Jeff, also a lot of events happening at home this weekend. Outside of football, being on the road against Miami. The We Fly Championship preview for cross countries at home. Men's golf in their fall schedule. Women's golf's coming up later in the week, and then men's and women's tennis are both in action as well, with men's tennis being at home. So we always talk about some of the teams that are in the thick of their championship season, but there are also programs taking part in the fall portions of their schedule.
Well, we're a full go right now, Mick. I mean, every one of our teams is either in their championship segment, or they're competing in their non-championship segment, or they're just practicing. And, it's so fun to be involved, to watch these student athletes train, to watch them get ready for their respective seasons. And, those of you that are not going to travel to Miami to watch football, we've got plenty in store for you right here in Muncie. And so looking forward to following our teams this weekend here and seeing how they compete.
What's great about the cross-country slate is that's kind of a chance for them to see what the dynamics will look like for the championships in November.
That's right, and we're privileged to be able to host the Mid-American Conference cross-country championships, and so to have our student-athletes run in this environment and get ready for those championships will be great.
Well, Jeff, before we let you go here on This Week in Ball State Sports, anything you want Ball State fans to know?
Well, thank you for showing out for our football game this past weekend, and look forward for that continued momentum as we head into the rest of our home slate. We look forward to hosting our next home game on October 5th against Western Michigan, and just the continued encouragement and vibrance of our community as we continue to get involved. Mick, we have been emphasizing more involvement within the Muncie community and celebrating the fact that Ball State is Muncie's team. And so I'm excited to continue to roll that out, continue to get involved, continue to have our student athletes involved in the Muncie community, and look forward to the Muncie community embracing what we're doing too. And the sky's the limit. I'm excited. I visited with the mayor before the game on Saturday, and there's so many wonderful things happening within our community, and look forward to contributing to that as we advance.
Well, like Jeff said, next home game is not until October 5th. It's family weekend, and the next home game is homecoming, so make sure to get your tickets. Check out ballstatesports.com. Don't forget about the football season because we'll be on the road for 3 weeks, but get those tickets and get ready for more football. Well, Jeff, appreciate you joining us as always, and welcome to the vodcast edition of This Week in Ball State Sports.
Thank you, Mick. Go Cards.
Hear every big play, every touchdown, and every win.
He has open daylight, jumps toward the end zone, barrels in, and he is in.
We fly with the Cardinals. Every moment that matters all season long is right here. The Cardinals and the U in Miami. Join us live Saturday, September 14th. Our coverage begins at 2:30.
Welcome back into This Week in Ball State Sports on the vodcast version. Head coach Mike New joining us. We just talked with Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell and Delaney Caldwell from Ball State Soccer joining us after our conversations here with Coach Mike New. Coach, thanks for joining the show, and welcome to the Betsy Ross Sports Link Studios.
I mean, this is big time. This is big time right here. So really cool atmosphere, cool setting, all that good stuff.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you joining us here too, and just looking at the first game of the season, like the environment, the atmosphere. You put out a post this morning on Twitter X, just thanking the fans and everything. But what was your assessment of that showing from the fan base?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know our players appreciate that. I know I can speak on behalf of them. But when you come out of the tunnel there, first of all, I loved the kids being there, just giving them a high five. As we entered the field there, it's all about the kids. But when you look over and you start with the student section there, and it was full, and they were into it, love that. Our guys feed off of that. There's nothing better than to see that. So thank you to the students for showing up, showing out, making it a great atmosphere that way. And then obviously it was a great day. It was a great day for football, and we certainly appreciate the crowd and, glad to get win number one.
Talk about win number one, 42-34, the final against Missouri State. You talked about leading up to that game that this felt like a team that was ready to be in the FBS right now, like a MAC-like opponent. How did you see that take place?
It's the same feeling after the game was over. That was a good football team. In a lot of ways, I think every coach, on our staff that, has either been in our conference or, been in a conference where, it's been somewhat compatible. This is a good football team. And, obviously I told their coach that, post-game, like they got a good football team and can see them certainly doing some damage in the Missouri Valley Conference. So, we knew coming into it, it was going to be a battle. And we knew we had to play 4 quarters of football. And that's exactly what had to happen, and that's what took place on Saturday.
Mike, you talk about the battle. It's a 14-7 game. 4th down, Caden Samanza throws a 41-yard touchdown to Malcolm Gilly. A, was that the time that you said we have to go for it in this position, and then B, that play just unfolding the way it did?
Yeah, I think I spent a lot of time on that philosophy this offseason. When all the analytics that go into it now, I spent a lot of time on that philosophy. So I knew in some of those situations where you're in a 4-down territory, you're just on the verge or on the fringe, if you will, of field goal range. And so it talked a lot about that. And so it was great, to see the throw delivered by Caden there and just the effort and a run after catch by Malcolm. That was great. Obviously that's one of his best plays that he's had as a Cardinal and at such a key time in the game. So I was really happy to see that happen for him.
Another wide receiver, Cam Pickett, leading wideout for the game. What did you see from him? He was all over the place.
Yeah, so proud of Cam. He's had a long journey up to this point. He's missed a lot of time here due to injury. He wasn't able to get on the field a year ago. So that was Cam Pickett's first college football action. And I know how hungry he was to get on the field. And, he kind of set the tone and really got me excited the very first snap of the game when you pitch it to him. On a jet sweep, and just his effort, just to continue to fight and battle and to end up ultimately getting a first down. And I thought that was awesome just to see his effort on the first play. But he had several big catches the other day, and, Cam's an explosive guy. He's got great speed, and, he can do some special things with the ball in his hands. So it was great to see him, have a day like that to build his confidence, to know that all the hard work he's put in, rehabbing in the training room and our staff working tirelessly with him. It was good to see his patience pay off.
You talk about the patience paying off. Caden Samanza comes in, first game of the season, 5 total touchdowns, 4 passing, 1 rushing. How would you assess his game?
Yeah, he really played a good football game. Decision-making was awesome all game long. I thought he did a good job of running the show. His composure was great on the sideline. Things obviously weren't going exactly the way you planned it in the first half, but just listening to him communicate with the guys on the sideline and in the second half. He was playing at a confident level, believing in what he was seeing. That was a great thing. That was a bonus, obviously, being able to use the tablets on the sideline and, listening to him and Kevin communicate. Obviously, you could hear him communicate what he was seeing, and then obviously it was confirmed on the tablet. So he was seeing the field well, and he was very confident in his preparation, and it was great just to see the number of guys and the distribution in the passing game with a number of different guys having a chance to catch balls and make plays. I think that's awesome. And, he really played a good football game. The 1 interception there, obviously, just bobbled it there for Cam and ended up being a pick 6. But he never wavered, and, he did a great job leading the show there for that first win.
You talk about the iPads. Mm-hmm. How many times did you go to the iPad?
Probably about half of the drives. Not as much because there's things going on throughout the course of the game, but I probably went over about half the time. And to be truthful with you, the first part of it, I simply forgot that they were in play. So I got to have a better partnership, better relationship with the guys managing.
You're 1/11th.
That's right. The guys managing the iPads on the sideline, and just tell them, hey, when the series is over, just hand it to me, because I'll be ready to look at it instead of me coming over and trying to find where it's at, because obviously everybody is, making their way over to the cart to try to grab the iPad to watch what they just saw, watch that previous series with their guys and kind of talk through it. So that's awesome to be able to have that resource to watch it in real time, to make in-game adjustments. That's nice to have.
We talked about this leading into the game as well, the helmet communication now between coaches and players. From a Game 1 standpoint, how did that go?
It felt pretty good about it. Obviously, Coach Elliott did a great job. Coach Knowles, obviously his communication piece there too, defensively, but it seemed to go well. Was it perfect? No. but like game number one, and there's a lot of things that we need to continue to work on. But I thought for the most part the communication was really good, and Caden and his communication back was obviously great as well.
2-minute timeout. Were you surprised when they stopped playing the first time?
Not the first. What really caught me off guard was in the fourth quarter when it happened. I was like, you're playing the scenario, you're playing the clock in your head, and you're talking through that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we got that 2-minute. The 2-minute timeout coming right here. So it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I think I think it's a welcome adjustment.
Right after that 2-minute timeout, Braden Sloan put the game away with a big rushing touchdown, 149 all-purpose yards. His first game as a Ball State Cardinal. How would you assess it?
I think he got stronger as the game went on. Again, credit the offensive line right there in that situation. We had repped 4-minute scenarios in training camp 3 different times, and obviously we got into that situation game number 1, and we knew we had to get a first down. Didn't know it was going to quite be a touchdown that way, so it's one of those that's hard when Braden's running in there to score, and you're like, do you taking a knee or going down at the inside the 5-yard line? But it was a great job by our guys finishing right there, and that was a well-blocked play by the guys up front, knowing that they had everybody at the line of scrimmage. So you credit the offensive line for doing a really good job there.
I want to talk about the special teams because there were a lot of really good plays on special teams, namely George Udo and Feeney making some big plays on special teams. What did you see from that group when you watched the tape?
George's turnover there really shifted the momentum in the game. And then, obviously we had another turnover a little bit later there with Joey Stemler on the pick. And to turn those turnovers into 14 points is important. But I think just overall from a special team standpoint, feel very confident really about the coverage units. When you talk about our kickoff cover unit and taking so much pride. We spend a lot of time on that. Coach Conley does a really good job. We work hard on the takeoffs because we want to be able to hit the when the ball is kicked off, we want to be able to hit that line full speed. Obviously, we track those guys every day with GPS and speed, and we post it every day, so we want to see who's running. Oh yeah, we post it every day when we do kickoff cover in practice. We post those speeds, and so you want to see guys running. They take pride in that, and they want to make sure they're known as a fast guy. So it was awesome. And you mentioned Sam Feeney. I know you're getting it, but Sam, man, welcome to college football. That was a great moment when you saw that yesterday with the whole team in the special teams meeting, and you saw Sam Feeney, just the excitement from all the guys in the meeting room for Sam, and that was textbook, man. That was textbook in terms of speed and great tackle.
Who, if I can pry a little bit here, what's the fastest time we've seen on special teams?
Well, I can't tell you that. We've had a lot of guys that have registered in some good markets there in terms of speed. So
awesome.
It's a competition, though, every day.
Right.
It's not been the same guy that's been number 1 every time, so there's a little bit of competition.
That's cool.
But that's also healthy, too. That makes sure guys are running on special teams, and but that's all part of the process, and we spend a ton of time, special teams meeting wise, and we spend a ton of time on special teams periods in practice, and for good reason, because we know those are critical plays in the game.
4 different we'll go back to offense real fast because it just came into my head, but 4 different receivers had at least 5 catches, and that's with Ty Robinson not playing after the first snap, Justin Boag not available. How was Caden able to use that diversity of wide receivers and tight ends?
Yeah, and that's something that we take pride in. Coach Elliott does a really good job. It's you got to defend our team, not just one player. And I think when the distribution is split up the way that it was the other day, that's awesome because that keeps all those guys engaged. It keeps all those guys knowing, man, on any given play here, depending on what Caden sees on his end and working himself through the progression, I got a great opportunity to make several plays, and that's important. And I thought, after you mentioned the injury to Ty there on the first play of the game, it was great. Obviously Keon being involved in the action, certainly Tanner being involved in the action, but to see Malcolm Gilley step in and take on a bigger role than he probably thought was going to happen going into the game, was great. And then obviously Cam Pickett, with his first action. So we've got to keep building on that. Obviously there's still work to be done every single day, but certainly love, when you look at the sheet at the end of the game and you see that kind of distribution.
From a defensive standpoint, how would you assess the performance?
Dominating in the first half. They had 14 plays in the first half, and you look at the number of punts, you look at the number 3 and outs or 4 and outs. Our guys did an awesome job that way. Probably, when you have the ball for 23 minutes, which is what we possessed it in the first half, we got to score more than 7 points. But our defense did such a phenomenal job of doing their part to keep them off the field, to get the offense back on the field. And then I think in the second half, the game certainly ebbs and flows. I think if you look at one thing, you say, man, we need to make sure that we're in the red zone. They had 3 touchdowns in the red zone. We need to hold those to field goal attempts. And but those are things when you watch the tape that we can clean up on our end. And whether it was communication, whatever it may be, but we can clean those up on our end. But I think most importantly, to be able to deliver and finish. When we had to, that's most proud of in terms of our football team Saturday.
Mike, we already talked about George Udo from a special team standpoint. From a defensive standpoint for him, he just brought some energy. What did you see from him?
Exactly that. George has done that every day in practice. You see George can run. You see George is one of those top guys, by the way, when you register the special teams cover speeds. George is one of those top guys without giving away the speed. But he's done that every day in practice. He's a guy that is flying around all over the football field. He's always going to be around the ball, whether it's making a tackle, an assistant on a tackle. And again, even though, it was on the special teams cover unit there, that was a big hit to jar the ball loose that we ultimately recovered. So I think it's a great first game for George, certainly to build on his confidence because he came, obviously transferred in, from Cincinnati last year. So I'm excited for him to build on that performance from game 1.
Mike, before we let you go here on This Week in Ball State Sports, it's early in the week, but looking at Miami, Florida, what jumps out about them on tape?
Yeah, good football team. They did a great job. Their staff did. Coach Cristobal of really taking advantage of the transfer portal. They had some big acquisitions. Nobody's playing better in college football right now than Cam Ward. Through 2 games, it's amazing when you look at a quarterback, and certainly you see the arm talent, just the pure arm strength. You see the quick release, but then on top of that, to locate it at the level he's locating it at, he's in the mid-70s in terms of completion percentage, spreading the ball around. They got 3 dynamic playmakers at wideout. All 3 of those guys 1 year ago were over 800 yards receiving. So they got some weapons, and obviously the running back that transferred in. From Oregon State, special player. So they're doing a really good job here. And then defensively, too, they had some key acquisitions to their defensive front through the transfer portal. It's a good football team. Obviously they've had 2 big wins. Obviously win number 1 at Florida where they really dominated that, and then obviously had a dominating performance against Florida A&M. So we got to have a great week of preparation where we're focused on us, making improvements from week 1 to week 2. Obviously we got 2 games to watch on them, but it's not a secret. This is a really good football team that's got high aspirations and got big goals, and they're playing good football right now.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports from the Betsy Ross Ball State Sports Link studios. Congratulations on a Week 1 win to start off Team 100 with a dub, and we'll talk to you throughout the week and see you Saturday.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Mick.
Hear every big play, every touchdown, and every win.
He has open daylight, jumps toward the end zone, barrels in, and he is in.
We fly with the Cardinals. Every moment that matters all season long is right here. The Cardinals and the U in Miami. Join us live Saturday, September 14th. Our coverage begins at 2:30.
Welcome back into This Week in Ball State Sports, live from the Ball State Sports Link Betsy Ross Studios. Partnership with Ball State Athletics and the Sports Link crew over here in the Letterman building to produce a once-a-month vodcast version of This Week in Ball State Sports. Delaney Caldwell joining us here from Ball State Soccer. Delaney, really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And congratulations on such a great start to the season. 5 goals, 3 assists this year already through 6 matches. What's going on?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been really fun. It's been great wins from the team.
How have you seen the team just continue to grow and grow throughout the season?
I think a big part is that the intensity in our practices and every game has really just gone up. This is one of the best preseasons that we've ever had and one of the hardest ones too. And I think it's really gotten us prepared for MAC to start soon.
You say hardest preseasons.
Yeah.
When you say that and when you think about what that means, what does it mean?
I think a lot of our practices were a lot more intense and a lot more is expected out of us, which is honestly the best way to prepare us for all of our games. I think we haven't had a necessarily easy preseason schedule, but I think they've all been perfect for getting us ready for those next games.
How do you think those preseason matchups have tested you on an individual basis?
I think it's been There's definitely been a lot of challenges, like going down early in Indiana. I think everyone kind of has to show up and like try to get us back up there. I think individually, I think I've tried to work my hardest I can, and I think obviously it's paying off a little bit, and yeah, it's been good.
When you describe what the work from the preseason to now looked like, you said it was hard. There were tough aspects of practices, and the games haven't been easy as well. Do you think that has helped test you individually as a soccer player?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely made me have to be better in every single practice, and like knowing that I have to go to practice and still show up and try to be the best that I can. To not only just help myself, but to help everyone else out. I think we have a really competitive team, and everyone's fighting for every spot and for every minute that they can play, and that's really helping everyone push to be the best that they can be.
How did the coaching staff challenge you personally going into this year to get better?
I think, well, one major challenge I think is that we switched our formation up a little bit, so I'm playing a different position than I played last year, which is fine, but I think that was like a big adjustment, and also having new people in our lineup, trying to figure out like the connections there, and yeah, I think those are the two like main challenges.
How would you say those connections are starting to form?
Oh, definitely very well. So Addie's the new right forward on our team, and I think me and her, most of my goals have been off of her assists. I assisted a couple of her goals yesterday, so it's been good.
When the offense is clicking like it was Sunday against Queens, what makes that offense click like that?
I think just everyone being on the same page and working hard. I know me and Avery have been playing together for a really long time, and I think we always just know where each other is going to be, and I feel like just having that connection really helps us be successful.
I think whenever a team has talent that leaves either from graduation, transfer portal, whatever it might be, Ball State Soccer brings in players like Addie Chester.
Yeah.
That front line is very well set for your team.
Yeah.
How have you seen the camaraderie between that front line really take off since Addie came in, and then everybody having another year of experience?
I feel like a lot in the spring we were still trying to really figure out like who we were as a team, like with all of our new people, and I think throughout the entire preseason, like we truly worked hard every single day trying to figure out all of our connections, all the different drills that we did, all worked really well to help us figure out where we're going to be, when we're going to be there, and play to each other's strengths.
What's been your favorite part about the team?
I think our culture has been really good. I think every single person truly wants the best for everyone out on the field. Like whether you're playing, you're not, you're injured or whatever, I think every single person is working hard for each other.
I know you're on the offensive end, but from a defensive standpoint, how have you seen the team's defense continue to get better too?
I think that our back line also has changed a little bit. We have a new center back. I think their communication level has been really great, and I think their work ethic's been really high, and they are willing to work with other people on the field to try to make sure that we're the best that we can be back there.
What do you think the next step is for this team?
I think a main issue that we kind of could have is that, like in Indiana when we went down early, I think we need to start off on our best foot and continue to work hard in the beginning of games. We always talk about how important the first 5 minutes of a half are, and I think this weekend against Queens was a great example of how like important it can be. Like we scored in the first 5 minutes of the first half, the first 5 minutes of the second half. Like I feel like those kind of impactful goals are really important.
Delaney, looking more at you as a student athlete on that side of things, how would you describe what your journey has been like at Ball State Soccer?
It's been really fun. I feel like not a lot of people are able to start as a freshman and get a lot of playing time, and I think that has been really something that means a lot to me and not something that I ever really expected going into college sports in general. It's been a lot of fun like working with other people, and like as people have graduated, as we have more transfers, everyone moving around, it's been really nice to work with different people and be successful.
How has that helped like a leadership style from you personally, because you have to go through all those different changes and then starting as a freshman and having those opportunities?
I think a lot of it comes with like confidence. I feel like if I'm confident in what I can do, I can be a better leader to others, kind of like guiding the way and like how I do it. Like I feel like now that I'm like an upperclassman, people kind of like I know exactly what I need to do, like how hard I need to work to get to where I'm at, and same thing with other people. So I feel like I can lead in that way.
Delaney, what drew you to Ball State?
The main thing was location. I really liked location. Don't live far from here, and I have a lot of family in Indianapolis. I also obviously really like the soccer program and the coaches. Even though we have a couple of new coaches now, like I truly love the coaching staff. They're always so nice to me and like very, like they always understood exactly what I needed and stuff. And then my major is elementary education, and obviously Ball State has a really good teaching program. So
How's that been going?
it's been good. Yeah, it's starting to get a lot more classroom work, but it's been good.
The first couple of years, what do you do in that program to get you ready for it?
A lot of just learning like the developmental stages of like children and like the best ways that they can learn, different ways that you can teach, and then that's pretty much it.
Is there a certain grade that you want to teach, or is it whatever happens?
Kind of whatever happens. I'd prefer to teach somewhere between 2nd and 3rd grade.
Okay.
But
How come?
just seems like a good age. I feel like they're pretty developed as children and that they've been in school for a few years, so they have a better understanding of like what's going on in schools. I feel like they already kind of know how to learn how to read, so like you're more building off of those developmental things.
Well, Delaney, we really appreciate you joining here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Good luck the rest of this season, the rest of your Ball State career.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gamebridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.